Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on the channel. Inside of today's video, we're going to be taking a look at the best 10 brawlers in the game right now. Since the update, it's only been out for 24 hours, but I've played the update a ton. And of course, it's just going to be like a preview because I don't know what the meta will look like until at least a week and until I've got the chance to play ranked. But you guys are just so eager to know what the best 10 brawlers are, so this is my personal opinion. So diving in at number 10, we're going to be starting off with El Primo. So I'd actually personally like to put El Primo a little bit higher, but most people think that he's not as strong as first perceived. But anyways, El Primo has received 3 buffs. He's received a 6% attack damage buff and then a 6% damage buff to both his Asteroid Belt and El Fuego star powers. So for me, El Primo is just going to, of course, get a lot better. He also will be able to now counter the hypercharged tanks. Previously, they actually used to counter him, even though his role was literally to counter those tanks. Of course, he's got the hypercharge as well, which isn't like the most flashy hypercharge. I may have overrated it a little bit in my ranking before, but it's still really strong because you get a 25% speed boost and 25% shield. And it literally means you're going to team wipe if you get that hypercharge super. So for me, El Primo seems very, very strong. Again, I've only played him really in Brawl, but I feel like he's going to be a really good counter pick option. For me, he's definitely going to be at least 8 tier. So before we get into the rest of the rankings, there's a few brawlers that just missed out on this. So the first one being Stu. I think it's going to be very good once ranked comes out, but right now he kind of gets overpowered in ladders, so this is more of a ladder ranking. And then next, Piper. So of course, Piper's just been pretty strong overall, especially with the knockback gadget. Everyone's been hating her. Griff, since the damage buff, I think he could quite easily become a top 10 brawler. I just feel like the damage buff is insane on him. I'll have to test him out a little bit more. And then lastly, Bo is still super versatile. So now we're going to be jumping into the 9th best brawler in the game right now. And I went with Jessie. So that might be very surprising to you guys. But Jessie did receive a good buff. So the main buff that's made her just literally become really meta brawler is the fact that it used to take 2.5 supers to get her hypercharge, and now it takes 1.66. So essentially, once you got your first super, you're able to cycle so quickly to a hypercharge. And then of course, with a nearly 10k turret, you're able to just waste a lot of ammo from the opponents and easily capitalize on that. And of course, you've got the boosted stats with the hypercharge as well. And to me, people are just going to be sleeping on this brawler, but just like Crow as well, you really feel the difference when you play Jessie for the first time, and I think she'll easily be an 8 tier brawler, at least in the new meta. Now, jumping into the 8th best brawler in the meta right now, we have Kette. So you might be wondering, well, she's received no buffs. She's actually received nerfs to her hypercharge, but hear me out. I think it's because she hasn't been hit as hard with the hypercharge nerfs. There's a lot of brawlers that got a hypercharge rate nerf, and then they also just got nerfs more harder overall. And of course, hypercharge itself has been nerfed, but Kette, with a bunch of tanks in the meta right now, she's one of the main shutdowns to them. So I just really liking the feeling of her in this current meta. Also, you got to consider in ranked as well, and trying to take that in consideration. There's a modifier called Big Friend. Essentially, you'll be able to pick like a Frank or a high HP brawler and 2 other brawlers, and all of them brawlers will match the highest HP in your composition. So essentially, everyone's going to be walking around like Frank. So of course, Kette is going to be the best option against that. So kind of preemptively thinking about who's going to be a meta. Also, again, like Kette wasn't really affected by these nerfs, like a 10% nerf to her hypercharge shield, a 4% nerf to her hypercharge speed. She's still got that 25% damage boost. Her hypercharge is still really insane, and she still has 4 gotcha gadgets. So for me, I think she's going to naturally get better right now. Okay, so jumping into the 7th best brawler in the game right now, you guys might think you're dreaming, but I think it's Doug, okay? I played a lot of ladder yesterday, and Doug was by far the most troublesome brawler out there. So if you guys missed out on what the change was, essentially they removed the damage and healing fall off. So now he'll deal 2,400 damage at every single point. So essentially like Jackie, before he used to deal more damage the closer you were to him, and he'll deal like minuscule damage at the edge of his range. So of course that's a big bonus to him, but it's the fact that once Doug gets in range, that's always been the problem anyways. Once he gets the chance to get in range, then he can cycle his supers. His super's always going to be the best thing about him. And when he respawns, he's got full ammo, he's got full HP, and then he can charge in again and get another super, then another super. It's just crazy. You can't defeat this brawler. He feels invincible. So I get a feeling though, once rank comes out, he'll fall off gradually because pros know how to keep their distance against Doug. Of course, he's got no gadget to close the gap. But for now, for this week in ladder, he's easily a top 10 brawler in the game. Trust me on it. You've got to try out Doug. So now jumping into the 6th best brawler in the meta right now, we have Otis. So again, another brawler that you might have kind of forgotten about, but he received a 5% buff to his attack damage and a 5% buff to his fat splatter gadget. So Otis already was actually an underrated brawler. He was near the B tier because because he still shut down a lot of hypercharged brawlers, but still he just didn't have the damage to keep up. But now he does, and especially if they have the damage gear on Otis as well, he deals 1000 plus damage per shot, which with one ammo, that's 4000. He just rips through people right now. Of course, Otis secretly has some good range to him as well. On grassy maps, he's really good with the vision gear. And of course, like I said, his super is one of the best in the game at shutting down hypercharged brawlers. So naturally, Otis is just going to leapfrog up the meta. The damage buff is insane with him. You've got to try it out. So now jumping into the 5th best brawler in the game right now, we still have Pearl in the top 10. So she received a 7% HP nerf, which took her down from 8,400 to 7,800, which you definitely feel. But at the same time, I feel like they didn't fix the big problem with Pearl, and that's just the absurd damage that she can deal to an opponent. You combine it with the Overcooked gadget, and it's a free kill pretty much every single time. And it's so easy to ramp up with Pearl in certain situations. Of course, you don't really want to play Pearl in Brawl Ball, but you can easily heat up as a Pearl in Gem Grab, in Bounty, Knockout. All of these scenarios, it's just so easy to ramp up. And then, as I said, once you ramp up, what is going to stop you? Especially when you still have the heat shield star power as well. And she's got the hypercharge, which actually got a damage buff as well. It got a few nerfs in other categories, but increase in damage, to me, this is still one of the best brawlers in the game. So now jumping into the 4th best brawler in the game right now, we still have Charlie. So you're probably wondering, Charlie received 4 nerfs with the last set of balance changes, but again, she received some type of buff. Last time when she received 4 nerfs, she got a hypercharge, and now they've increased the hypercharge rate. So of course, the projectile super speed got nerfed by 21%. You can definitely feel it. You can't really use it at maximum range anymore, but this increase in hypercharge rate is insane. It's gone from 2.5 supers to 1.66. So you're able to get that additional speed, additional damage, make more plays. Of course, her hypercharge super isn't that great, but it's just a stat boost that are really good with her. And again, she's still really good. You just got to use your super more at like a close/medium range now, but it's still one of the best supers in the game. Her Spider's gadget still didn't get nerfed again. So for me, she's easily going to be a top 10 brawler again. So now jumping into the 3rd best brawler in the game right now, we went with Cordelia. So he could quite easily be the best brawler in the game, but for now, top 5 1,000,000%. He's got a brand new hypercharge, which is so strong. So I know I put him as like number 4 in terms of ranking all of the new hypercharges, but that's because his Shadow Realm is already so strong. But then I realized you just absolutely rip through people so quickly with his hypercharge. A 25% damage boost, 24% speed boost. Literally anybody in the Shadow Realm, you're just going to delete quickly. And if you can kill them quickly enough once you pop the hypercharge super, then you'll get that quick additional like 2-3 seconds outside of the Shadow Realm as well, getting that speed and damage boost. Of course, it's literally Cordelia's. He's able just to counter hypercharges so easily with his super alone. He can cancel out so many supers just by supering them, like Fang, for example, like Buzz. So he's a good shutdown brawler to a lot of brawlers. Even though he received a nerf to his replanting gadget, so he can't use it in the Shadow Realm, people have just switched over to the Poison Mushroom because you can activate it and then put someone in the Shadow Realm, and you're able to win that 1v1 even easier. So Cordelia is just ripping through the meta right now. So now jumping into the 2nd best brawler in the game right now, we have Buzz. So Buzz has been pretty bad in the meta for a good while now, at least a year, but this new hypercharge has definitely catapulted him all the way up into 2nd, maybe even 1st. But if you guys are unaware, he got a really strong hypercharge, so it did get nerfed before it got actually brought into the game. But the way you use it now is just to be Spider-Man, go around the map, or you can just manipulate it so you can try and stun opponents when they're close to a wall. And it just makes for such good turnaround plays. Like I was playing in Gem Grab, for example, and my teammate OG, he was just flying around the map. And even though we were losing like 9-0 in gems, he could just turn around the game so easily because he'll just go after the gem carrier, and it's literally impossible for the gem carrier to do anything against the hypercharge. Buzz is absolutely insane, and there's just so many good reasons as to why he's so broken. You've also got his automatic charging circle, which is able to automatically charge up his hypercharge, which is just absolutely insane. So for me, he's easily a top tier brawler. So now jumping into the best brawler in the game, in my opinion, it is going to be Leon. So Leon didn't really receive any nerfs. He got an increase in his hypercharge speed, and they nerfed his shield by 20%, which again, his shield was okay, but still, if you use Invisi-Heal, your shield, you don't really need that extra bit of shield with a hypercharge. It's the damage boost you get with hypercharge, 25%, which is absolutely insane. So if you guys are unaware, Leon was just breaking the last meta as well. Super versatile, good literally everywhere, and it's because of the hypercharge combination with Invisi-Heal. You just can't stop it. He's just ripping through every single brawler. Again, I just don't get how he wasn't nerfed harder, but I guess as you know, Leon's one of my favorite brawlers. I don't mind him being this strong. again, you probably heard a million times how strong he is. So he's just easily a top 3 brawler in the game right now. If he's receiving no nerfs and his counters aren't getting that better, then of course he's going to remain at the top. So that's going to be it for today's video, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know who you think is going to be top 10 from maybe like a week's time. But yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys next time.